Well, hey guys, I figured I would throw you off on this video by actually recording in my office on campus. You normally see my craft room at home, but this is my office. Those are some of my kiddos on the wall behind me, my wife and I in the top picture as I look over my shoulder. The purpose of this paper is to talk to you a little bit about the issue paper that's coming up. Remember that the professional paper that you just got through doing talked to an HR person about what's going on in HR and what is starting to happen at their organization. And this paper picks up where that left off. What you should have done in the last part of your professional paper was introduce a couple, at least one, maybe a couple, of issues that they're starting to deal with, but they're not really far along with. They're not really sure how they're going to figure them out, how they're going to deal with them. And so for this paper, you want to play kind of the role of the consultant. You need to interact with your HR professional a little bit to get the background and the detail about what the issue is. But now you're going to take it from there and you're going to do the work for them. What you should do is, as you prepare to write this paper, is think about the issue or issues that were brought up in your other paper. Pick one of them that you think is interesting, that you'd like to research a little more and learn a little bit about and try to get creative on a decision about. And then go out to HRM, do some searches, and find some articles that deal with that topic. When you get ready to write your paper, here's what we're going to do. We're targeting about 3 pages. I really don't want it to go to 4, so in some cases you're going to have to kind of condense some things to make sure that it fits on 3 pages. It's going to be Calibri, 11-point, and 1.5 spacing. So again, if you didn't remember how to do that, I'm gonna share my screen here and show you. I've typed out the instructions for this. You might want to print this out and make some notes on it as we go. But once you started typing a little bit, you can highlight something, then you can change the font here to Calibri. Here is 11, and here's where we go to set it to 1.5. You can see the difference in how it formats the page. Those couple of little sections and part of one line take up almost half of the first page, where what I had originally only took up a third of it, maybe. So it's gonna fill up your page a little bit as you go. Don't put anything up in the corner, your name, the assignment number, the date, the course name, whatever. Just on the very first line, put the word issue. And then you want to write a short little paragraph, a third of a page, maybe quarter of a page, where you kind of give a little bit of the background on what makes that an issue at this place. Why are they concerned about this? What are they trying to accomplish by dealing with this issue? The bulk of the paper is going to be section 2. And when you get done writing that little paragraph perhaps about the issue and the overview, the definition, then you're going to go to the next blank line. You're going to type the words HRM resources. And then you're going to spend about 2 pages or so talking about what you found in up to 7 HRM articles. For full grading credit, you want to try to get 7. So if you're doing a paper on job descriptions, they don't have good, accurate job descriptions, and people are kind of confused as to what they're supposed to do. The issue would say issue across the top of the page, and then you'd say one of the biggest issues at this company is that as they have grown and they've asked people to expand their roles and take on new responsibilities, they haven't updated job descriptions to keep up with what these people are doing in their jobs, and so there's confusion. A little bit of background like that sets the stage. Then you want to do some SHRM research on job descriptions, or keeping them accurate, or keeping them current, or whatever. And in the course of your 2 pages here, you won't necessarily want to do this APA style, really. You want to just reference that article. One article I found talks about job descriptions and says this kind of thing. Another article, and in maybe parentheses you put a 2 or a 1 or a 7 to help me know which ones they are if I want to go look at them later. But you want to give me the short version of what you've learned by reading those articles. And I'm not thinking that this particular section needs to have a paragraph per article. You may find a common theme throughout several articles, and you can reference that several articles talked about this, and here's what I learned from it, and here's what it's recommending that we do. Here's what this company ought to try to accomplish. based upon what I've read on these articles. But over the course of about 2 pages, you want to share some things from SHRM literature that talks about your issue and kind of leads you to a point where you've got a better idea of how to solve this issue for them if you are a consultant or if you are one of the executives in this company who's looking to solve it. So whatever you didn't use on page 1 in the issue, you want to fill it up with the SHRM resources, all of page 2 with the SHRM resources, and maybe a third of page 3 with SHRM resources. Then after you've kind of covered what the literature is saying about this particular topic, then you want to have a blank line and say proposal summary. And then you have the last little bit of your third page, half a page or so, where you kind of go into the basic details of a proposal, based on what the situation is in the issue and what I've read in the SHRM resources. Here's what I would propose that they do to solve this problem. And then just kind of talk through, not with the details, the cost, the timeline, any of that kind of stuff, but an executive summary of what needs to happen to make this occur. All right, so that's 3 pages. I'm gonna be really careful to look for your own words as you go through the process of looking at those SHRM resources. Make sure that you take ideas and put them into your own words. I do not see any need for direct quotes from anything, and I'm not talking when you're putting it in your own words of getting a sentence and changing 4 or 5 words. You need to put the whole idea into your own terms, because when you submit this, it's going to be submitted to a software called Turnitin.com, which looks throughout all of history, basically anything that's ever been on the internet, including papers that other people have written. It will look at the articles in SHRM that you're quoting from to make sure that you don't take word for word out of that. So make sure that you have paraphrased what you've read, and then maybe even paraphrase your paraphrase. When I write journal articles, I go through and I read an article that's 15 pages long. I highlight some things I like. Later I go in and I read that highlighted part and I think, how could I put that into my own words to still get the main idea? And I type that into a document and I get all of those things. And then when I get ready to write the article, I figure out the order in which I want to put these things, and then I go in and I look at the phrasing that I put in that document, and then I reword that. So it's been reworded twice before it shows up in my article, and I don't have ever any problem with plagiarism type of ideas. So that's the summary of what we're doing with this paper. I'm going to close the instructions and I'm going to call up the grading rubric now. 3 main sections dealing with the paper itself. You'll recognize the headings: the issue, the SHRM resources or SHRM review, and the proposal. 5 points on the issue. Either you told me what the problem was and helped me understand why it's a problem, or you didn't, right? 5, 3, or 1. 50 points of this, half of the grade, is how well you review that literature. So outstanding, it's an A, but it wasn't perfect, a B, a C, whatever. The proposal, up to 10 points, and basically perfect, an A, a B, or a C. For the SHRM articles, you gave me 7, you gave me 6, you gave me 5, you gave me 4. Every time that you don't give me one of what I've asked you for, you've lost a point here, but only 7 points in all. The format and direction, did you give me the headings? Did you give me the spacing I want? Did you give me the fonts type that I want, the size that I want? I didn't mention in the instructions, but all of your articles need to go on a separate page called a reference page, references. And they don't have to be in any particular order, except maybe you want to list them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and put that parentheses 1, close parentheses, and then the article, so that they show up in the order in which they appear in your paper. Grammar and spelling, you need to proofread this thing. Word does that for you. 2 errors or fewer makes it perfect. 3 to 5 errors. Some of you who might have trouble with writing definitely have to get somebody to look at this thing for you, because just a handful of errors, 10 errors, loses you 6 points, which almost means you can't get an A. And then the originality score. Once you attach this file and hit submit, it will send it to Turnitin and evaluate it. So I would say, and this was written in the instructions, submit it, go away for a while, maybe for overnight, and then come back and log in, and it should tell you what your score was. The lower, the better. You want it to be 0. It probably won't be 0 because it's going to recognize your reference information as being copied from something else, and that's okay. I can factor that out. But you don't want a number like 5 or 6 or 10 or something, because that suggests that percent of your paper is word for word from other sources. So the way that the Dropbox is set up, you can submit multiple files. Every time you submit a file, it wipes out the one you sent before that's being replaced. So you could submit it, get your numbers like, oh gosh, it's 11, go back in and reword some things and submit it again and see if you can get it back down. If you can get it down to 5 or less, you'll get 10 points. Anywhere from 6 to 10, you've lost 3 points, up to 11 to 15. If it gets above 15, a significant part of your paper has been plagiarized, even if it's not a string of 12 words in a row, but significant ideas have been plagiarized from other areas, and that's going to create a problem. So here we've got 10, 20, 30, 80, 88, 95, 100 total points if you do it perfectly. And notice that if you got some spelling errors up here, it might keep you from getting a perfect up here, and it might keep you from getting a perfect down here. So make sure that you review things very well. I'm going to go back to just camera now, come back to me. Hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea of what to do about your issue paper, and you're going to be ready to make some progress as an HR professional, troubleshooting problems and coming up with what you think are reasonable solutions based upon the research that you've done through SHRM. Remember that SHRM is not academic. It is pretty much the people who do HR sharing what they've learned in the process of doing that HR. So that's going to be it for now. This recording is going to stop. If you have questions, go to Ask Dr. Grimes discussion board or shoot me a note. Otherwise, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to start looking for your papers to come in, and I'm going to have a good time reading them. Bye for now.